our next speaker. And really, it's amazing to go from friend to friend to friend. And they're also inspiring. My next one is Christopher Patnoe from Google, EMEA lead for accessibility and disability inclusion in Google. And I will let Christopher elaborate on what he would like to share with you, but always inspiring and always pushes us to just continue even more. So, Christopher, please. Christopher, I think you're on mute. The most repeated sentence in the last 3 years or so.
I was just saying, can you hear me? Because Zoom hates me. Clearly.
Yeah, well, we love you, Christopher. Please.
Okay, so again, my name is Christopher Patnoe, not Patnoe. I used to live off Noe Avenue, but that's okay. I'm here to share a couple thoughts about employing people with disabilities. Daniela mentioned that Microsoft has made a promise to make their products accessible. Of course, Google has made the same. Our friends at Apple. This is something that many companies have come together to do. But employing people with disabilities is an important part of this because it's sort of the left hand and right hand. If you don't have the people in the community, how do you know what you need to build for? It is the greatest way of making sure your products are high quality. And as one example, here at Google, we have a role called the accessibility analyst, where we bring in experts of assistive technology to come in to test. They come in to co-design and train our engineers, our designers, to make sure that we create products that meet the needs of as many people as possible. But enough of that sales pitch. What I want to talk about are things that we need to think about when wanting to employ people with disabilities, especially if you're just getting started, because that's what's hardest. That's when it's scariest. What are you going to do? How do we do this? I don't know what I need to do. So here are a couple of thoughts from me. One, be intentional. Be sure you mean it. Be sure you do it. And if you're here listening to this talk now, if you're listening to this webinar now, you're already on the path. You've already made that commitment. You're trying to understand what's there. So thank you for that. But when you're doing this, think to yourself, what do we need to do? Ask real questions of the communities you need to support, of your employees that you need to support, and listen to the answers, because you're probably going to hear something you didn't expect. You're probably going to hear that it's not going very well, and don't be offended. Don't be scared. This is an opportunity to make your products and your culture better. So when you hear what you can do, then act on it. Be willing to do something that's possibly uncomfortable. Be willing to do something you may not understand, but trust the people in your community. Trust the people in your company. They know how to work there, and they know what they need. So listen, please. So be intentional. Next, be humble, because you know you don't know the answer unless you're part of the community, or heck, sometimes even if you are part of the community, you may not know the needs of your employees. So no, you don't know the answer. The people with disabilities know the problems. They deal with it every single day. And, they spend their life dealing with a world that was not designed with them in mind. So listen to their solution. People with disabilities are profoundly creative. And when you listen to them and you follow their lead, you also create such loyalty because they know you're listening to, and they're going to be willing to work hard for you because you put yourself out there. 3, be cooperative. And this isn't just meaning with the people in your company. Realize that it's a broad world out there, and you're not the only company trying to solve these kinds of problems. So since you're not alone, find those organizations that are in similar places. Find organizations that support employing people with disabilities. For example, I'm here in the UK, and the BDF, the Business Disability Forum, is an excellent organization that provides support for people who are trying to make their employees and their companies much more inclusive. Also, there are research reports, and charities and NGOs provide information on the problems and highlight the problems. So, for example, the RNID, the Royal National Institute for the Deaf here in the UK, recently released an excellent report on deafness and employment. So listen to what's out there, participate and join, and be involved in the process of making your company and the companies around you even better. And finally, look at yourself. I think the old expression is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you were in this situation, what would you want? How would you want to be treated? This is how you should treat the people around you. They're loyal, they're passionate, they're experts in what you do. Lean on them, trust them, and make a society, make a culture that really has the power to do what you expect it to. So now I want to go into a little bit of a sales program, but use something that we've created called the Accessibility Discovery Center as a lead. So the Accessibility Discovery Center is something we opened in December of last year. It's on the 7th floor of our King's Cross office. And Michal was lucky enough, or I was lucky enough to have Michal come and visit it. It was created to make our products and our culture more accessible and inclusive. And since we've been opened, we've been collaborating with organizations, businesses, charities, individuals, and even governments. The questions they ask of how do we make our process, how do we make our culture, how do we make our products more accessible is a common refrain that we hear in the ADC. And I'm really proud that Google's willing to let us step up there and walk the walk and listen and do all those things, the intentionality, humility, to try to not just make our products accessible, but to improve the quality of the ecosystem as a whole. Because if we help the community, we're all better off. So here in the space, we do research. And this is the core aspect of nothing about us without us. You can't understand what you need to build. You can't understand what's wrong in your culture unless you ask. So we use the workshop to understand the needs of the community inside and outside of Google. And we use those insights to make our products and culture more inclusive. When we actually have something that we want to test, we run into the lab and we see if we actually meet those goals. We'll use the latest in sort of user research technologies in terms of like eye tracking to understand cognitive load, to mobile cameras to make sure that every product we have meets the goals of being inclusive. And Google makes a lot of our own tools. So this space gets used to make our own products better inside. We also use the ADC to teach Googlers, people who work at Google, about how to make AT that might be helpful. For example, developing for screen readers and Braille devices takes practice. It's almost as much art as science because to be so difficult. So we provide the tools for our employees to make our products more accessible for ourselves and for our users. But we also have different kinds of AT that we support. So, for example, there's a photograph here of a woman playing a dirt car racing game with an eye tracker. It can be fun to learn, and it is also important to understand the limits that these technologies are important. So we use this space to teach Googlers about the AT that they may be needing to use. So say you're someone who's learned that you're going to be developing a disability. The Googlers can come in here and learn about Braille. They can learn about screen readers and how to use them. So we use this as an opportunity to teach Googlers about the tools that can make their lives better as well. And finally, we hope that the ADC can help destigmatize disability. We use video games to sort of make people not so hesitant or make people not so scared about the idea of assistive technology. If you do it right, you can teach people that having a disability isn't always disabling. Assistive technology can be the bridge that brings the person to the product, the person to the culture. And when you do this, you make your products better, you make your culture better, you make your employees better. And if we do that right, then what we create makes things better for everyone around. And with that, I thank you.
Amazing. And again, I have to reiterate, even though we are very short in time, I was lucky to go to the ADC. And I'm really urging any one of you who has the opportunity. It's really, really amazing. And it's amazing to be in this field for the last 16 years and still be surprised and still learn every time I meet Christopher and go to see the center. And Christopher, I can tell you that in the chat we have many questions being raised and interest. So we will pass it on to you. And thank you very much as always. And we will meet Google again later on. So let's wait up for that.